Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the February Parent Training. My name is Carter Dykes, and today's topic is reacting to rudeness. Let's start off by addressing why some people are rude. Many times people will act negatively to things that they don't understand. Other times it may be a learned behavior. Perhaps the individual had friends growing up that made fun of others, and they view it as more socially acceptable. Regardless of the reason behind people's rudeness, there are ways to deal with this that are appropriate and ways that are not. Let's take a look at this first situation. You're at the store in the checkout line, and your child is flapping their hands and jumping around. The woman in front of you turns around and stares at your child before making a comment to you. You know, you should really learn to control your child. They're making a scene. Let's pause here and talk about what you shouldn't do. While we may be taken aback by the directness of the individual, it is important that you keep your cool. While you may want to respond with something along the lines of, "I'm going to make a scene out of you if you talk about my child like that ever again," this is not productive and will result in further conflict. Don't respond with threats of violence. This is what is known as coercion. Coercive interactions are tactics that are used to influence or otherwise force behavior in a negative way. While coercion may produce some short-term success, the results long-term are not positive. Now, what should you do? What you should do is remember, keep your calm and think rationally. Using your head in this situation is going to benefit you. Conflict is not going to solve this situation. A good thing to remember are the 3 B's. You might be wondering to yourself, well, what are the 3 B's? The first B is to be direct. Don't beat around the bush and make excuses for your child's behavior. This bluntness is a good and effective way to show someone that you are serious without having to resort to nastiness and name-calling. Be honest. People appreciate honesty, and if you're honest about your child's behavior and their diagnosis, then people might be more willing to empathize with you in your situation. Be polite. Remember, kill them with kindness. Nothing can make an individual feel worse than when they're expecting a negative response out of you, only to have that expectation fall flat on its face. Situation number 2. You're at a restaurant waiting to order, and your child loves this restaurant's mashed potatoes. The server arrives, and you're informed that they have unfortunately stopped selling their favorite mashed potatoes at this location, and this sends your child into a tantrum. A gentleman from another table takes notice and states that, "Well, back in my day, my daddy would have given me a whooping for carrying on like that." Whoa, let's pause and talk about what we should not do. While you may want to remind him of his daddy's whoopings, we know that this is not productive behavior. So what should we do? Do you remember the 3 B's? If we apply the 3 B's, you can remember to be direct. You could say, "My child has autism, and when he is unable to effectively express his anger or other intense emotions, this is the result." You could try being honest. This is the reality for many parents that have a child on the spectrum. "We're going to try and use coping mechanisms to help my child calm down, and we would appreciate your patience." And remember to be polite. "I'm sorry that my child's emotional state is causing distraction to you. We will try our best not to disturb you further." Our third and final situation. Now it's your turn to take charge. You're at the park with your daughter, and she's in the sandbox, rocking back and forth while she digs in the sand. You hear a dad across the way start to laugh and make jokes about your child to the other dads, and you hear him say, "Wow, what the heck do you think is wrong with that piece of work?" So, it's your turn. Using the 3 B's, write out your responses in a way that is direct, honest, and polite. Please give one example for each. So, what are some things that you shouldn't do in this situation? Well, you shouldn't introduce the kindly gentleman to all the various flavors of sand and dirt around the park with your shoe. Remember, violence will not solve their ignorance. You also should not respond with something like, "She's just worried about what I'm going to do to you in the parking lot." Remember, implied violence and threats are not going to solve your problems here. So, what are some helpful and socially acceptable things that we can do instead? Well, remembering the 3 B's, we can try being direct. My child has autism, and one thing that she does to relax is rocking back and forth. Be honest. It is a repetitive behavior that calms her down in the same way that tapping your toe at work might. Be polite. I thank you for expressing concerns about my child, but she's fine and would just like to play in peace. So, to wrap things up, today we learned about the 3 B's: being direct, being honest, and being polite when getting into these certain social situations. They can be an amazing weapon to put into your arsenal. If we remember these 3 B's, we can help to not only educate those that are ignorant of our children's struggles, but also defend our children in a socially acceptable way. I hope this parent training was informative for all of you guys, and I appreciate you for listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.